We are back with episode 2 of the 3XG Corona Cast. Strictly meant for patrons only, but of course will be released to the public within a week's time. So I'm excited for this. We have a hot episode for you. Blue cards were released. We've been spending all of our hours testing because that's what we do here with the Scrub Fam at 3XG Productions. And today, Richard Zapp is going to go ahead and take us through a couple of topics that we prepared for you to make sure you are ready for Series 10. And if you haven't gotten your sealed product yet, make sure you put your pre-order through your favorite shop, which is definitely Alec Pastrana, Bearded Collectibles, best shop owner on the planet. Make sure you go through Alec Pastrana Bearded Collectibles, get all your sealed product needs. Take it away, Zappy.
Sup, nerds? I hope everybody's doing well. So we have been in Facebook. We've been in the Discord a little bit. We've been all up in each other's DMs, talking nonstop about Blue. I'm going to be honest with you. Playing these various mono blue mirrors have been some of the most fun I think we've had in formats. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would agree.
Yeah. Why is it so much fun for you, Frisco? Usually, until new SS3 came out, Blue was not your cup of tea.
I think it's a cool take on a lot of new things. Turn 3 of Booney seems pretty decent. Zen-Oh is just cool. It kind of puts everything kind of on the table back because it just reduces everything's cost that's 4 or higher by 1. That's how I look at it right now. So it's basically anything that's older and newer. It just kind of expands the card base of all the older cards, newer cards, and trying to see what can be played, what can't be played, etc. So it's all pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because basically Zen-Oh, instead of looking at it as a unison card, it's basically an enchantment that says all of your battle cards cost 1 less.
Basically.
Yeah. If your leader is mono blue,
Yes.
your battle cards cost blue less.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then
You ain't killing it. You're sure as hell not killing it.
Mm-hmm. And most of the hypotheses on is Blue going to be broken in Series 10? Most of it kind of comes down to how can you generate advantage out of flipping cards off Zen-Oh. And when we found a few cards in the set, some of the sets, some pre-existing, that have really done that. But yeah, Unisons as a whole, it's interesting. It definitely creates a lot of challenging interactions where you're like, do I attack the Unison? Do I attack the leader? Do I attack the battle cards? And there's pros and cons to all of those, mostly revolving around, does the opponent have God-sealing trunks?
Yes.
Yeah. Also known as Force of Will, right?
But
Yeah.
Pat, it's not even the same thing. What are you talking about?
No, it's not.
Explain it to the viewers at home.
What, the difference? Or just what actually...
Explain why the card is remotely playable.
Because it's free. Counterthink is free. There you go. That's why it's remotely playable.
So wait,
Yeah.
Like, you're not safe. You're not safe from doing anything. You're like, my opponent is tapped out. I'm gonna play this bomb. No, you're not.
So when you say bomb, you mean like you can't play like a 3-drop or a 4-drop, like
Yeah, like, well,
most
it's
modern
like,
plays,
okay,
right?
like, overextending, like, you might think your opponent, because they're tapped out, you're safe to punish them, but, like, you can get trapped into situations where you overextend. You're just like, alright, like, I'm going to play, like, for example, like, the game with Frisco the other night, where he was just like, I'm going to play Obuni and, like, smash you, and it's like, well, in response to the tokens, I'm going to God Seal them, and it's like, wow, 4 cost for a 20k with no effect feels so bad.
It was so
I got to untap 1.
You get to untap 1. Woo! Dang.
Well, luckily, at least I have my 1 of SCR that God Sealing can't stop, right? Right?
No.
Right? No.
Just
No.
Cell Secret's the only deflect secret, right?
Yeah, that's it. It's just Cell Zen-Oh, man. Like, you're just like, man, I'm gonna go for my victory strike. No, you're not.
Wow, that's such a feel bad.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think the whole concept of like attacking the unison until they get below 2 markers, and then
Like,
that's the way you get safe.
Yeah.
And
You literally it's like how I was kind of thinking it would be with like Magic, because like Magic you can't ignore the Planeswalker because that's suicide to ignore the Walker, and I was like, well, in Dragon Ball you could just smash their face in faster than the Walker could probably like generate any advantage. I'll just ignore the Walker. Well, no, you can't play battle cards until you attack the Walker.
Yeah.
So it makes games a lot longer and a lot more strategic and way more interesting than they've been in formats.
Right.
It feels like the most drastic shift in the game since like August of last year, which is what, like set 7. Like it feels like a massive shift in the game.
Jose, you've actually played with a few of the unisons so far. How's your experience been? Like, how do you feel about like blue so far with like your testing that all we've been doing?
I feel like blue has options now to go under, be an aggressive low to the ground deck as well. That's what I've been working on right now. I think you get the choices to be either a mid-range, good blue stuff deck, aka Obuni, or you can just go and slap big bombs like Samasu and lock them into place so they can do anything. I like the diversity that blue is getting, because used to be just like, oh, let me just ramp and do something and stall a game, I guess, and not have a true finisher. But now, outside of Gogeta 7, right? But for now, I feel like blue is becoming even more of a. It's getting closer to other colors. You know, getting more choices. Like now, right now, red and yellow are the aggro colors essentially. But now blue has a little bit more, at least. And I'm been testing solely the Vegeta leader. So with the 2-drop Vegeta that becomes a crit, with him in conjunction with the Gogeta unison. So you swing with him, you swing with the Vegeta, then you play the unison. So essentially now they have to swing at the Vegeta, so you can actually still do basically get invincibility until they kill that Vegeta, and the Vegeta draws you a card, and then you gain back a unison if you already had popped a Gogeta before. So it's tons of value. I'm loving blue. I normally never liked blue in the past, because to me it's too passive. I feel like, well, I do things that is not helping me win the game, you know, just charge and ramp and whatever. But I like it. I like it a lot so far. But let's see yellow. I'm cautiously
that's all in the
optimistic.
back of our heads right now. Like,
Cautiously optimistic. I like it.
but blue got
No.
everything insane. But what about yellow? The color that constantly one-ups every other color.
You do bring up a good point though, Jose, about blue, because blue used to be like the de facto like third color, just because you just like beam and like 3 to 6 other cards, and it's like, all right, let me just splash my blue in and just get in the beam. Like that's kind of how blue lived. But now blue can actually have an identity besides just splashing beam.
Could be. When like look back, right, in the history of building decks, we still have cards that are from set 1 and set 5 when our Dimension Magic came back, right?
Yeah,
set
5.
5. So every blue deck runs 4 beans, 4 Dimension Magic, and back in the day it was objection if you were ramping or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, or the unyielding trunks, right? So it's like we still keep those core blue cards, and thankfully we get more choices to actually play the game. So I like it.
Yeah, it's been interesting because blue. So blue was actually a very popular aggro color for the majority of the beginning of the game. You had set 1 Vegeta leader, who was the crit god, and then Storm made blue yellow kind of the norm. And
Think
then
unyielding for that.
yeah,
He's like, you're gonna think unyielding for that one.
To that point, the blue was the support color, right? The yellow was giving you the aggro part.
for the most part, yeah.
And then for the blue Vegeta, at least in Ohio, in my area, it was blue red. So it was just slapping Cabas, Champas to the leader. Essentially your single aggro blue piece was your leader. That was blue.
Right.
Yeah.
And the only other aggro deck blue published in the last circuit, what you had was blue yellow, which Universe 7 or Universe 6 honestly felt like a yellow deck splash blue again.
Exactly.
And then blue green and/or 21 was control, and then Invoker was definitely control. But Frisco, something you and I have in common is we both have very little experience with Magic the Gathering, so these Planewalker things make no sense to us. How's it changing how the game feels, in your opinion?
The unison stuff, I feel like it's definitely game changing, 100%. As far as like how you want to sequence your turns, how to actually build your decks, and how you actually want to attack it, just change the entire landscape of the game in itself. And like a lot of decks didn't have a lot of turn 2 plays if like you want to swipe down a Unison and it can't be countered. Like everybody's like yellow decks like Bardox and stuff like that. Now you actually have a very impactful thing you can do that actually can't be countered, and depending on what the other ones do in other colors, it's actually going to be interesting how it's going to be going forward and how that's actually going to be kind of played out.
No, I like that. And on the flip side, Matt, as someone that has plenty of experience in Magic the Gathering, what are some of the core differences between how Planeswalkers feel in Magic the Gathering compared to how they feel in DBS?
So in Magic, a lot of times Planeswalkers that are always strongest usually just have like a plus ability that's meant to be like a protection for them. So it's like plus to do something that protects them, and then like a really big ultimate that kind of wins the game. Whereas so far from what we've seen, the Unison cards are most so just like they're almost like snowball type effects. So it's like the longer it stays, the longer it accrues an advantage, the more it becomes a problem. And the thing is the way that attacking in Magic the Gathering versus DBS when it comes to taking counters off, it's much different. So you're having to structure your turns around how you're going to get the most value out of your swings. So you're having to calculate that into your calculus for whenever you're being aggressive or if you're trying to play a certain type of game. But it just becomes this kind of game within a game almost. Whereas like in Magic, it's not really like that. In Magic, it's either I'm going to kill the walker on sight, I'm going to chip it down 2 times with 2 different attacks. Whereas in DBS, it's different. It's, well, I got to deal with this Unison over time, but I can't invest everything in it to get it dead. So I think it's just like very different, and it feels very different, which is nice. I like the X markers allowing you to have more control over how much your Unison can do. I like the features that you get from different Unisons by having them in play and getting stuff for free, like we've seen with like God's Healing Technique and the stuff in the expansion packs. So I think they're similar in some ways, but then I think honestly in DBS it's almost completely different because you just can't kill it on sight. So you have to play the game entirely different unless you're like a hyper aggressive strategy like Gohan. Like that's it. Like it changes a lot.
Right. Yeah, because it seems like most of the big things they only have minuses. So you play it and it has some impactful effect, but at that point you're at the point where they could threaten lethal. So it's like, do you distract your whole kill turn to invest on that or not?
Exactly.
Pat, I'm sorry. We interrupted you.
No.
Oh, cool. So I guess before we look at the cards and some of the key new leaders, let's reflect a little bit back on previous decks. We can even incorporate some of the expansion packs with Topo and Vegeta. What old leaders do we think benefit from the Unison concept? I know to start off, before we started this, I was just playing with a yellow-green Jiren deck that exploited there was a Goji or a Bardock that was previewed. It has a +1 of sacrifice a 1-drop and make them discard a card. And I was comboing that with Series 9 Jiren leader, actually. Yeah. So I was going the 1-drop Topo, discard.
Justice.
Yeah, and then I was using Jiren Pride of Universe 7 or Kakati, bringing them back and then launching them again with the Bardock, and then making sure that I kept my hand size up with Healing Pod. So that's one example, I think, of even going off color. Any other leaders you guys are excited to explore with Unisons?
Honestly, Beerus leader. I'm really excited to play him with the red Vegito Unison that was previewed. I know Frisco's big on this too, but I think Beerus not having to attack is just such a big advantage. And I think what's better is Beerus being able to not attack, accrue card advantage, play a Unison card, and then have his passive ability to be able to provide that combo every single turn. So you're just like playing this game where you're just outvaluing the opponent through having your Unison on the field, having access to combo in your discard pile, being able to restrict your opponent's resources. So I think like red-yellow Beerus or red-blue Beerus, I think in general is just going to be like a really cool deck to take advantage of it.
Okay, I can see that. Any other leaders on anyone's head?
Well, you know me. Go ahead, Pat.
Okay, I was gonna say mine's not so much with the Unison. Obviously, Unisons do help, but I do want to invest some time into set 2 Zamasu because of the rule change of being allowed to have 10 extra cards, so it's 2 extra life. So like, I feel like I would be it would be very uncharacteristic of me to not try to play that leader, especially since there's a dramatic rule change that changes that, and then you have like Zen-Oh Unison allows you to get out the 10 drop, potentially even a turn faster. You might actually be able to get out. That card out. What is it? Why can't I remember the name of it? The 10 drop. The 10 drop Indestructible.
Fuse?
Yeah, you might have able to get that.
Infinite. Yeah.
Yeah, Infinite Force Fuse Demacia. Yeah, you might be able to actually get that out like turn 3 with like a nut draw. I'm not really sure yet, so definitely want to try it out. The new Demacia has given me a lot of hope that Demacia is actually very, very good competitively. So I at least want to try the old one to see if he's just like strictly worse than the new one, because the new one's kind of nuts. But yeah.
Seems decent. Yeah. No, I feel that. And then Frisco, you're still pretty excited about SS3 specifically with the starter deck Unison, right?
Yeah, I think a mindset that I had going into it is like with like the Gogeta Unison, for example, is that I had to get out of this mindset that you had to actually only pay 2 for it, but like SS3 is actually a really good like mana sink or energy sink leader. Is like you can actually spend as many energy as you want for a Unison and get as much counters as you want, and then still be able to untap 3, so it's not going to feel as bad. So you can actually pay 6, but you get 6 counters for really the price of 3. And I think that's actually going to be really good with the Go Tinks as well, because if you get 6 counters on it, you can do either ability, still have more than 2 counters on it to leave God Sealing Trunks on it. And then if you're bottom decking 2 threats, 2 turns in a row, and keeping it alive, and then slap another one down for 6, it's just like, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to deal with that, and especially on an interactable card, and you're never gonna have counter windows open, or your rival stuff's not gonna do anything because it doesn't like target it and stuff like that. So I'm kind of curious how that's gonna play out.
Ditto. Oh, so let's see. So there's 3 big decks here, right? We got the Trunks, the Vegito, and the Zamasu. Trunks definitely interesting. It introduces life manipulation, which is something that we haven't seen before. Matt, I would say you probably have the most experience with the Trunks leader at this point. What's been your early impressions of it?
So I think the leader is the worst leader of the 3 on its front side, for sure. I think in testing so far, seeing Frisco play, seeing me playing it as intended versus seeing just trying to do Vegito 8 on turn 3. Just trying to do Vegito 8 on turn 3 is just the best way to play the deck. So I honestly think you just ignore the permanent skill on the front and the back side, because since Trunks can awaken pretty quickly, and his awaken side is actually nuts. Like, you know, the 2 blue to bottom deck something and then untap an energy is just very good. And then the fact that you get access to Vegito 8, like, that card is absurd. Like, your opponent's going to lose 4 cards when you play it and when you swing with it. And the best part about Unisons is that Vegito gets to swing at the Unison to make it lose 3 counters. Your opponent's going to actually bottom deck those 2 cards, not getting any advantage at all. So I think Trunks is the worst leader of the ones that we've seen, but gets access to the best card, probably. Because
I would agree.
I think Vegito 8 is just an absurd card. But so far I think the leaders, it has its own lane that it sits in, which is kind of cool, and that's something that's neat about each of the blue leaders, is I think they all kind of have their own lane. So I think Trunks overall has been really fun. I think he's on the edge of competitive, but I think you really have to lean into Vegito 8, and I think that the life manipulation stuff really isn't as powerful as you want it to be. It's cool when you first do it and getting that advantage, but when you just realize that the most optimal version of the deck doesn't require you to do it, then you're led astray pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. Pat, you were going to say something?
Oh no, I was just thinking about what he was saying. Like, you know, from obviously you played Naruto as well, but like the life gain, like life manipulation thing was probably my favorite archetype in that game. So super stoked about Trunks, but I have to agree with Matt. Like, I feel like all the life cards that trigger off this permanent are pretty bad for the most part. So I think it's just correct to just play for Vegito 8. There's a world where I was thinking maybe the original set 2 blue Trunks might be a better fit, but the backside is too damn strong on the new Trunks. Like, it's so good. It looks like on paper like it's a worse version of Gogeta, but like the front side feels way more consistent. So I feel like it might just be the better leader overall just because of that. Like, not having the horrible front side in tandem with like a slightly different and sometimes better backside is kind of worth it.
I think what's underrated for Trunks is that his awakening condition is actually pretty cool if your opponent's a 4 or less. So you have the Vegeta combo, the Vegeta 1-drop that's double strike and everything, which fuels the unison stuff. So when you bring them down to 4 or less, it's like that Vegeta becomes for free, so your turns can become less awkward. Like it doesn't require you to beam to go into 5 and 8-drop Vegetos, which is pretty cool. So it's basically like, hey, I need to get a Vegeta on board, and if I get him down 4 or less, cool. It's like he's for free, and I can still do my thing.
Right. And so we're talking about right now, the way most people are approaching Blue right now is they're looking at this Zen-Oh Unison, Cosmic Unison, and they're asking which ways to get the most value out of that. And the Trunks deck is trying to get value out of it by utilizing the Vegeto 5-drop as a way to, you Milla Goku or Vegeta off the top, and then before it disappears at the end of the turn, you use it as part of the Union Fusion. But I'm sure that's not the only way we're getting Gokus and Vegetas into play for the Union. Any other strategies we found successful?
The Saiyan duo stuff back from the
Set 6.
Set 6, just like turn 2, playing that untapping energy, having it available is strong, and then just using the new 1-drop double striker, and then just like the 1-drop Goku from the past as well. I think either of those work too. And you can of course charge those as well. So I think having access to Saiyan duo, getting both out so easily, and then just going off and reducing your opponent from a billion cards in hand to no cards in hand. And that thing's 35k triple strike, deflect, and barrier. So it's got a lot of keywords. So
and the good thing about the Vegito 5-drop is, like, I know the permanent says you need 4 energy in play, but if you just like turn 2 and you don't have Zen-Oh, you can still like play your 1-drops and then just go into them and just let them sit on board until you're ready.
Yeah, that's the way Jose was doing it. Was kind of genius. Like, he had the option to charge the dual color turn 1, and then turn 2 he would just be like, 1-drop started at Goku, 1-drop double striking Vegeta, get in there for some damage, and then just fuse immediately. I was like, you can do that? That's really that's a lot of power really quickly.
Yeah, so
he was able to muscle out 5 damage turn 2.
That was a huge deal. So and then the question with that is, if you're using that strategy, then which unison do you use? And for the most part, I think there's an argument for Zen-Oh, because it's a better card. It lets you play Ubuni on 3, which is huge, and just consistently being able to kind of +1 energy. But the Vegeta deck actually has a merit there as well, because the 5 cost of Vegito. Let me see if I can find their names. The 8-drop is Paralyzing Prowess, and the 5-drop is Infinite Radiance. But Infinite Radiance is pretty cool with the Gogeta Unison, being 25k deflect blocker, and when you have the Gogeta Unison on board, he basically becomes a deadly defender, and that can be very hard to get off the board.
They have to swing at him. They have no choice.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You become Jiren all of a sudden without taking life.
Exactly.
Pretty decent.
It's very decent. One cool interaction that doesn't come up with this card, it does come up with the Zamasu, but if for some reason they get it deflected, would too. Because there's no cost for the Union Patara, if somehow you tried to Union Patara and they stopped it, you wouldn't actually lose anything. Like, I was thinking about this, as if Vegito didn't have deflect, you Union Patara, and they like God Souling you and it comes back to your hand, regardless if it was an energy or whatever, it wouldn't have gone anywhere. So then you can just play it again.
Yeah, that's why I always hated Blue, like, had these weirdly awkward counter options where, like, my opponent EX evolves and, like, the blue one would return to hand. And it's like, okay, well, EX evolve again. Like, it's like, then what was the point of my counter option? Yeah, like, that's a very weird ruling in this game, but at the same time, like, it's beneficial, I guess, to you in this case. Like, if you try in Union or EX evolve and it just, for some reason, returns the card to your hand, you just get to do it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then as Matt said, we've been more successful just focusing fully on the Vegito chain and not using the Supreme Kaya Time unison registered for it. But I guess the takeaway is, if you want to try that, definitely using the Gokus and the Vegetas to set up your life for ramp on big turns is good. You just need to have a plan for what to do with that energy, and usually that involves something with deflect. So Obuni and Turning the Tide, Android 17, is probably where that version of the deck goes for those of you trying it. But definitely post down in the comments below. Get engaged with us if you have any other ideas on that front. Any other closing thoughts regarding the core blue cards revolving around Trunks in Series 10?
Not particularly.
No Pinskis.
No Beanskis. But Vegito, honestly, low key, I think that's the one we're all excited about, just because.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Vegito.
Really fun. Yeah, I know Jose. You probably have the most experience with that leader. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your success with him.
Yeah, I think I mentioned a little bit about it already, but I just been trying to make it aggro because I think it has the tools to be aggro at the beginning, and then also try to be because I like decks that get choices. So I think having the both working around both unisons, the Gogeta Blue and the Teenager Gotenks, gives you the options to be aggro with Winnies at the beginning, then in the middle try to control with your Deadly Vanguards and your Gogeta, giving you essentially Deadly Defenders, and then go for finishers with the Gotenks. I feel like the Vegito leader is amazingly good.
Yeah,
many games that we're playing yesterday, I was staying at 8 lives, awaken on my opponent's turn 1. And
Wait, turn 1?
Huh?
Yeah,
My opponent's turn 1 on the charge. Yes.
How are you doing that?
So Vegeta, the Vegeta leader reads if in auto, the second auto, that when a blue card or a blue unison card is destroyed on your opponent's turn, you get to draw 2 cards and flip that card over, essentially awakening you. So what we have been doing is actually using Dr. Rhoda, Unknown Potential.
Doctor Reinforcement of the Army?
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Or Dhalsim.
Or Dhalsim.
Or Dhalsim, yeah. Joel Call. I think is.
I call him J. Cole.
J. Cole.
J. Cole.
J. Cole.
So right now my preference has been Dr. Rhoda, just because getting the extra energy, because on turn 2 or on turn 1 against an aggro deck, which we haven't seen yet again, it could potentially give me the extra energy to go into freehand or something after awakening. But yeah, so getting to awaken super early, draw tons of cards. Now your leader is at 15k, your opponent's not awakened yet. They still have to combo to do damage. And some of the times I can actually have set up my what's the name of the Vegito again? The 25k? Forgot his name.
Infinite Radiance.
What?
Infinite Radiance.
Yeah, Infinite Radiance. So there were some instances where I would go on my turn 2, I swing with Vegeta, Saber of the Future, go for Double Strike, then go into the Goku, Tenacious Warrior, swing with him too with 15k, then use Inu Potara and swing again with Vegeta, and this Vegeta now is gigantic, right? So, and I'm still like 6 life awakened. So it's like it's these. I think the Vegeta leader is the definition of a these leader.
Yeah, he is.
He has so much too. Like, so the thing is, like, not only does he get the fast awaken, but anytime your opponent kills your unison, which we already established in the opening, like, you can't leave a unison. Like, they're going to attack it. You get to untap 1, you get to draw 1. And then, as we learned last night in testing, the activate battle gives 10k and triple strike, and it's not once per turn. So there was a situation where the game went long, and I forget who it was. It was Friska, right? Where he's like, "Oh, I could just swing at the unison and just dump 6 energy into it. There's just no way you can block this."
Yeah.
Like, the second it was on the dual attacking Gotenks. It's like, the second this goes through, you gotta have double knee. The second this goes through, man, we're gonna pop off for like 55 triple.
Yeah. So the awaken sign is really, really strong, especially.
I think that's actually the best part about Vegito is that ability of paying 2 and giving the unison triple strike, because that's gonna remove 3 counters from unison on turn 3, as early as turn 3, even turn 2 if you really wanted to.
You could do it even on your Zen-Oh, like the Zen-Oh, like
if you beat into it.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, as we are talking here, I'm actually doing shadow playing here with the same deck, and you can actually something really cool. Is I'm staying like I'm around turn 4. I'm still like at 6 or 7 life, something like that. I can go into turn 5. Turn 5. I can go into the Gotenks. I have a Sensu Bean. I can go into Gotenks, swing, Sensu Bean him into 25.
Yep. We kind of cut out.
No.
Yeah.
He was basically saying, yeah, you can
He
do
died.
No, I'm here. No, it's Discord. I'm sorry. I apologize. So, a 5 energy. Go into the go tanks. I have a sensu bean. I swing with the go tanks. Use a sensu bean. Now he's 25k base. I use the Vegeta ability to
triple strike.
to give him triple strike and plus 10. So now he's 35k striker, triple striker. That's still gonna withstand and be a blocker or whatnot. And he comes with 4 markers, so I can still go all in, and I'm still gonna be like, okay, I can draw 2 cards. And worst case, around that point, the one thing about this deck is that you're drawing so much that you don't generate sparking very early. But one line of play that I saw here is like, okay, if I'm at 4 cards in my grave, I can just like sack him and do like draw 4 cards. He dies. He goes in the graveyard. Now I have sparking, and now I'm tapped out, but I have dimension magic, so I feel good.
Just a heads up, they can only use the markers once per turn. Just a heads up.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
I cheated.
and then also what's cool about that play that you said is that you can actually do that to turn 4 if you have Zen-Oh in play. So you can turn 4 Zen-Oh, ramp to 5,
Right.
then replace him with the Go Tanks, pay 4 Bean, and do the thing, which is cool.
Right.
Like,
'cause-
Yeah.
So
So
Matt, you're saying because there's 2 different ways really we're looking at playing the deck, and it depends mostly on what unisons you want to play and those ratios, right?
Yeah, no. So, seeing Jose's version, which I think it's very good. Like with the Gogeta from the starter, I think that unison's really good. But honestly, when I started sitting down and as we all go into the laboratory of trying to think of the most pushed ways we can do things, I can't help but just starting with not only just thinking about Zen-Oh Unison and thinking about it enabling you to play turn 3 Obuni, which I think turn 3 Obuni in this format is just going. It's going to be it's going to be a defining feature of the format. So like, let's start there. But honestly, my mindset is using Zen-Oh as a bridge to Go Tanks Unison. So running 4 Zen-Oh Unison, running 3 Go Tanks Unison, and just always having either a deflect threat with Obuni or having another threat that can't be countered with Go Tanks that accrues a ton of value.
Yeah.
So like that being my mindset for taking Vegito, and since Vegito in general, like Jose said, awakens at 7-8 life and can play these 1-drops for value, can be aggressive, has Obuni to kill unisons, I just think that you can just play the deck in this scheme where your opponent's never able to counter your things and your win condition just becomes your Go Tanks Unison. Because you're just going to use your leader skill plus Go Tanks Unison. You're going to have God Sealing Technique, so once you untap, you're going to be playing Zen-Oh Super Combo to let you untap energy. So you could tap out every single turn, and it doesn't even matter. And then we've also been working on the combo of just Path to Infinite to bounce back your Obuni. So just think of the play pattern of turn 3 Obuni, turn 4 ramp with Zen-Oh, pay an energy for Path to Infinite, push my Obuni back to my hand, then replay my Obuni tapping 4. So it's like, okay, now I have 6 tokens with the Obuni that I had. Like,
and you get to untap too because
yeah,
you use the Obuni.
exactly. So it's like then you're getting the value off of your Zen-Oh energy plus replaying Obuni and just having that wide board state. So you're just always pressuring leader, always pressuring unisons, which I think is just, if you can stop your opponent from being able to forward their game plan with a unison, and you can just constantly have defense just because you're playing blue, which is now this absurd tempo color with all the untap effects, like, I think you just you have the makings of something really, really strong until your opponent plays Violent Predator.
Yeah.
We don't talk about that.
Yeah. Like what he was saying, like Matt knows the decks that I've been building in Dropbox 5 have largely just been doing Android 16 into turn 3 Obuni, so like that was already kind of backbreaking, and that was like, Go Tanks is my favorite card that's been previewed so far. The Unison, I think he's insane. I think he hit the nail on the head. Like, going either Zen-Oh or 16 on 2 into Obuni or Go Tanks on 3 is ridiculous. Like, Obuni is obviously the most like thing, but the Go Tanks is really insane as well. Like, Go Tanks actually, turn 3 Go Tanks is the answer to turn 3 Obuni, because what ends up happening is you play the Go Tanks, you bottom deck the Obuni and a token, and then you just attack the other 2 tokens.
So something hilarious from what you said, Matt, about Violent Predator was that last night after we were testing, I went to bed thinking the same thing. It's like, wait a minute, Could Vegito do Violent Predator too?
I mean, you can make it a.
You could do blue-green.
I mean,
You can do it,
I'm obviously gonna try and do it. It's the other leader I like playing. I'm not gonna say the name, but I'm definitely gonna build a deck with that.
I mean,
Geo shall not be named.
Yeah.
I mean, well,
Voldemort
just
is our
just
name.
the obvious, like Zen-Oh and Android 16 in the same deck as a generic blue-green ramp to something amazing deck that could be a thing for sure.
I mean, just yeah. Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's probably not as good, but the other cool thing about blue green is Vegito is actually probably the best or the second best revive leader. Being able to get a revive with blocker, being able to discard a card, bring it back. That also triggers your leader ability. So you get the draw and you get the untap to do other cool things. And honestly, the biggest issue we've had with perfecting our Vegito lists have been we have so much energy on defense and we can't find a good way to do with it. We're looking
Can we
at
play Raiders War Guy?
yeah, just gonna crayon and color all over it.
I wish that the Trunks 2-drop. I wish I could actually come and play on defense. That would be cool.
Well, that's why I'm saying the whole because Zap asked me the question today, like, Matt, what are you planning on doing with all your energy? I was like, I plan on playing Obuni 6 times. Like that is my plan. Like I'm just gonna resolve it as many times as possible. I'm just gonna play Go Tanks Unison as many times as possible, and that's what I'm doing with my energy.
Yeah, like honestly, the play pattern I think a lot of people will end up doing this set is going to end up being like, at least this is how I envision it, is turn 1, set 2 Bulma.
Nope, we lost him.
Apparently that was a bad idea. And
Set 2 Bulma.
Discord out of here. That's hilarious.
Welcome back, Pat.
But the play pattern I anticipate will end up being like, something we'll all get used to at some point is, if they're playing mono blue, is turn 1, set 2 Bulma future, the one that searches for a Trunks future to get God Sealing Technique. Turn
God
2.
Sealing Technique is a 5 cost. You can't put.
Oh, you can't? Oh no, I thought you for sure could. I thought it's any. It's any, is it not?
4 or less.
Let's see.
4 or less? No. Okay. So yeah, then dual sim into Zen-Oh into either Go Tanks or Obuni. Like that's just gonna be the blue's bread and butter. Your opponent is playing blue, and they're a mono blue leader. That's most likely what you're gonna see.
Bro, I remember back in set 2 where I used that blue Bulma 1-drop in blue green Vegeta to tutor to basically be my fetch land, because I'd go get the green Trunks and charge it.
Yeah.
That rated me 1 new games.
What a format, dude! I won that Vegas tournament, bro. The first 5 rounds of that tournament, I just buzzsaw through people. 4-drop Trunks, bro.
As an aside, like I know we're on blue right now, but like there are certain leaders, like we were talking about, like leaders to get better with unisons. I just remember one off the top of my head, Frieza Prison, man, because he doesn't actually get to play battle cards in the 3 or less, so he can play unisons. So just play a 2-drop unison if you need to kill something.
Actually, prison Vegito would be pretty cool with the 4-drop Vegito.
Burn,
Yeah,
baby,
no, that actually be really good.
Yeah, no, Prison
Actually,
is
yeah,
one of
right.
the leaders I want to see the red preview so badly because I really want to see what you can do at Prison. I think it's a leader I tried to make work with Draftbox 5. I couldn't quite get there. I'm hoping that there's unisons that help him out. He's a lot of fun.
Boys,
So
blue Gogeta BR with Zen-Oh Unison and Veku, bro.
Starter deck 21 with
Don't tease me, bro.
Extra card. There you go.
that deck sounds amazing until the first time I resolve a God Sealing on you, and then you will throw the deck away into the trash.
You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me.
Play my
You have
fan.
so much fun until then.
You don't have to tell me. Everyone who is like downplaying that card in the thread that I started, they're gonna suffer the same fate they did with UI Goku. The same exact fate.
Yeah.
It's
Or
better than
Daily
UI.
Poison. Or Daily Poison. Because Daily Poison was the same
God Sealing
thing.
is absurd. If it's not if it is not amongst the most played or most expensive cards in set 10, I want to say eat a shoe, but I'm not going to actually do that. I will eat something.
Yeah.
I will record myself eating something.
Pineapple pizza.
Yeah. It is the best printed battle card since Raiders Warcry. Period.
What?
It's the best printed battle card since Raiders Warcry. Period.
Yeah, without seeing the rest of the set, I concur. I think it is better than any battle card in. It is better than any battle card in Draftbox 5. Any battle card in Draftbox 5.
So, to summarize, if you were playing the Vegeta leader, the two ways that you probably take the deck is you use it as a relatively aggressive strategy in which you're using the Gogeta leader alongside 1-drop and 2-drop Saiyans. The critical 2-drop Saiyan in the starter deck is also super overperforming. So definitely include that in your lists. And then you're just trying to get blue battle cards. Also the Trunks that cheat in 1 or 2 cost battle cards. There's also the 2-cost Vegeta. What is his name?
The one that gets critical, right?
The SSB Vegeta Heroic Warrior.
Yeah, Heroic Warrior is nuts, and then Frisco can't get behind it. But shout outs to John Connor. Vegeta Energy Absorber also has a ton of synergy with the leader being able to untap an energy whenever your leader trigger resolves.
Our savior, John Connor.
Yeah, John Connor, bro. Me and John, we have the bromance over that card. We play that, and she who shall not be named, because it draws you a bajillion cards.
And then the other way to play the deck is to utilize the Zen-Oh Unison. If you're utilizing Zen-Oh Unison, there's not a whole bunch of ways to take excessive advantage out of the energy burn, but there was a 2 or 3 cost Android 16.
Android 16 mechanical
prowess. Yeah, the starter deck one for 21.
That is a random card that actually is pretty over the top, because once the Zen-Oh Unison burns a card, you could play this 10k blocker, and it basically says it's a 0-cost blocker that when it blocks, you draw a card and untap an energy. So
I don't know.
That's pretty good there. Again,
3 to 4
going back to self-control, draws a card off.
I don't
Unison, so every turn, which is pretty easy. So.
I don't think it's that good. I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, Vegeta is obviously the better home for mechanical prowess.
No, I'm joking. It's amazing.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It's been very significant in our testing. Very significant.
Yeah. And then last but not least, the set also features a resurgence of Zamasu.
The one true god.
The Cruel Angel's Thesis. So
sorry. Okay, go ahead.
I love you. So there's a lot to unpack here, and we're gonna do as much as we can in 12 minutes. So Series 10 leader, I think we all agree that on paper, it is the best of the 3 leaders. In practice, I think we all agree that it's the best of the 3 leaders so far. But there's a lot of different variations to play. So let's start with traditional Zen-Oh plus Zamasu as a aggressive ramp strategy. Matt, maybe do you want to speak on that?
Yeah, so I think it depends on which route you want to do. Like, if you're doing mono blue and just trying to play Tragedy Overground, I think we're already seeing that deck just has a really hard time ever winning the game. Like, yeah, you can resolve Tragedy Overground and turn off your opponent's cards, but the rest of your deck kind of just sucks. Like,
yeah. Feels like a traditional blue. Like
exactly.
You're ramping for not just stalling the game.
What felt really so in testing, what felt really good for me was honestly just playing a blue-green shell and just trying to abuse ramp in that way so you can just play early Violent Predator. Because I think doing Tragedy Overground into Violent Predator or Violent Predator into Tragedy Overground, like, that's how you win a game. Like, but just the card by itself isn't going to win much. And I think people are just... Everyone gets really afraid when you initially see a deck just get to that many energy on the first turn. But as everyone knows who has ever played any game with a ramp strategy or a big mana strategy. So I'm talking Tron. Tron is great at setting up Tron, but you know when Tron decks lose, when they don't draw threats. Like, and so you can ramp all you want, but if you don't have the right payoff at the right time, your deck just does essentially nothing. You have resource you're not spending. And honestly, when we talk about tempo is getting the most out of your energy, both offensively and defensively. And those decks are really poor at generating tempo. So that's something to think about. Like, so I think the ramp ones, I think you have to go into the blue-green, like, color card pool if you're trying to play the ramp strategy. I just don't think mono blue is good enough by itself.
Right.
I think that's a really good summary. And then the other version that we've had moderate success to is I've been really trying to exploit energy destruction. So utilizing cards like Begrudge and Respect Piccolo and Force Ejection Masked Saiyan in tandem with the leader's ability, which usually he awakens turn 2 at like 6 or 7 life, pretty casually. And then you use a combination of the Zamasu Unison, or the Union Petard. What's that one called?
Let me get up. That one is called. Nope.
The
I don't know.
24K one.
Yeah.
24K. Why is it 24K? Advocate for Evil. You ever made a 24? Yeah.
24. What a wait,
What
dude!
a-
It's
what a-
it's Jack Bauer's dot deck, bro.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
We were calling it the Jack Bauer deck because it plays the 24K Zamasu.
Because every time Zap swings, he just goes 24.
So we've been calling it Jack Bauer.
24.
So you're utilizing that card to put your energy below your opponent, and then you're hard casting a force ejection mass saying and just saying they can't go above the rest of the game. While your Zen-Oh Unison effectively lets you play at like 4 energy while they're sitting on like 2 or 3 the whole game. It's by no means uninterruptible. It's a 315. You can get rid of it. But the fact of the matter is using all your resources to get rid of it, it almost kind of becomes like a matchup where it's just your leader versus mine. And when my leader is just swinging 15k dual attack draw 2 while you're 15k draw 1 swing, it's hard to keep up with.
Yeah.
So that's been an interesting strategy.
I was gonna say it definitely has its share of weaknesses. Like we saw the Vegito leader. Like if Zamasu bricks or doesn't get the right setup right on time, if he just goes like Gogeta Unison, your deck just kind of shuts off.
The other thing that we noticed with these new blue decks is that normally we're used to having blue decks that have a lot of 10Ks, so you can defend life. All of this stuff, it's 5Ks. All of the new stuff that came, all the Vegitos, all the new cards are 5Ks. So now you're drawing a lot, but also on the defense step, if you're running against something that is swinging at you multiple times, your hand is gonna get depleted pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what we were experiencing. Like especially when trying the tragedy deck, you ran out of a hand so quickly that even if you got the card down, it was like 4 life and 3 cards versus like 6 life and 8 cards, and you just never worked out. But if you don't want to go off the set 10 leader, there's 2 leaders in set 2 and a leader in set 7. We did have a hypothesis that series 7 would be great for tragedy overgrowth. And Frisco, I know you put some time into that leader. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience with it?
Yeah, so the whole concept was basically doing tragedy on turn 3 or 4. You could just do like this new Zamasu 1-drop, I don't know the name off the top of my head, into countdown Goku Black, and then you go to basically 5 energy because Zamasu and Zen-Oh both ramp 1 on your turn 3, which gets you to 5, and then you could just free Union with the Zamasu and then EX Evolve all in the same one because the Goku Black, the countdown comes into play for free once you get 5 energy. The whole deck tutors itself, so it's really consistent. It's very consistent, but the problem is tragedy that early doesn't do much. It's I was like, I'll put my code to 4-drop, and it's like I'll just kill you. I was like, cool. So I think tragedy is a card that you actually want to just finish with the set 7 Zamasu leader. I just think you want to just use it as the finisher. Like they're like 4 or 5 energy, and they have like 4 or 5 battle cards, 3 or 4 battle cards, whatever the case is. And then you just use the crit 4 after you play an uninterruptible way for them to ramp their energy. I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
and then you just sustain the game, like turn into tide or something like that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, another thing that Zab was doing last night, also with the Zamasu leader, once you set up your big Zamasu that tutors the extra card, what's the name again?
Yeah.
Tragedy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to trigger right away because it's activate battle. So if they actually drop a bomb on you, your threat is indestructible. So they're not going to be swinging at that. If you're feeling a threat that you're going to be killed by your opponent's battle card, you can just trigger it then, and that threat goes into the energy. So you can also use it as a defense tool.
Yep.
It's pretty cool. I found it pretty cool.
Yeah, while maintaining a 35k indestructible dual attack.
Yeah,
right.
I think
it goes through.
It was a really good point by Frisco to bring it up as like not doing it as quickly as possible. I think if you look at a DBS game and you look at the critical turns of the game, if you on turn 3 establish the rule set of the game as being you're playing under tragedy, you are giving your opponent more time to figure out how to win the game. Whereas if you're playing a standard game and you're trading resources back and forth and you get to those key escalation points and then you turn your opponent's cards off, that is how you're going to be able to win the game, because your opponent's ability to come back from that or change or shift gears goes out the window. Like, think about if, Jose, you were playing against somebody playing Tragedy Overground and you started casting those 1-drops and 2-drops aside or letting them die because you never saw Tragedy Overground, but then all of a sudden, after your 1s and 2s are gone, you know, he just slams that card, and now the only cards that are relevant in your deck are your Gotenks Unison. Like, it's like, everyone's thinking about, let me just do this busted thing as quickly as possible. It's like, well, if you do that and you're not winning the game right after you do it, you're just leaving a giant space of time in which you're trying to close the game, and your opponent already has more card advantage than you because of how many resources you had to put into making that play.
And I feel like you just went to the dictionary and looked for the word tempo, because you defined what tempo means so eloquently right now. You know, that's exactly.
Yeah. I really think like the set 7 Zamasu, it wants to play Turn the Tide on 7, then use the leader to find the 9-drop, use Zen-Oh to ramp from charging 8, Zen-Oh to 9, play the 9-drop, grab the tragedy, and then like, all right, cool, I guess game's over.
Yeah.
Right. And the way we deducted that was kind of just relying on tragedy into the leader ability to burn. It didn't feel great because it, like, let's say you're playing a deck that tries to function at 5 energy. If they're functioning at 5 energy, they need to commit 3 battle cards to the board for you to go tragedy into leader ability 4 damage. And against a skilled player, not myself, but everybody also played against Frisco, we're able to dodge overgrowth and get around it. So trying to find some proactive thing, and I think turning the tide is probably the way to do that. And then, of course, people are talking a lot about the set 2 leaders, particularly Goku Black. Pat, I know we've been thinking a little bit about how to utilize Goku Black effectively. What do you think is going to be the best way to do that?
The silent
Zen-Oh
frustration.
Unison, Countdown to Destruction. It's not Countdown. It's what is it? It's Plan for Destruction. Yeah, it's pretty much just Zen-Oh and Plan for Destruction. Potentially with, I guess, 16 some variants. You're just trying to just ramp as fast as possible to get some kind of like ridiculous finisher.
Yeah,
Exactly.
With your leader that draws 0 cards.
I was gonna say, everybody's like making a huge deal about this Goku Black thing, and I'm like, well, it doesn't draw any cards. Like, it's I hate like that. Literally hit the nail on the head again. So it's like I feel like I'm just regurgitating the same thing. But if you're playing Goku Black and you're like, look at me, I can get turn 3 Tragedy Overground out. Like, where's your hand? Where's your life total?
Exactly.
You don't have any.
Like, so
we were playing last night, and I was playing the Vegito against Goku Black leader. I never felt threatened because it was just, okay, he's ramp, and then like 2 cards in hand. So at one point we were looking, right? I had 6 cards in hand at 8 life, while he was at 6 cards in hand at 4 life. So I think
the scariest thing you can do with Goku Black is like this mythical unicorn scenario I keep hearing about. We call it Magical Christmas Land. Where you get the turn 3 Goku Oob Siege of the Future or whatever. Like, if your opponent does that, sure.
You have to open.
It's an ultimate.
So like the best way to describe it is you think about playing you think about playing Urzalands with 0 tutors. So you have to open Tron and open Ulamog all in your opener. Like, exactly. you have to open, like, it's not possible.
You literally have to open like Zen-Oh, Bean, and like 2 to 3 plans plus the ultimate on a leader that draws 0 cards.
And then you get like smacked in the face by Trunks Mafua.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, so they're like, that's what I'm saying. If they go if your opponent goes first, it doesn't even matter. Like, turn 3 seeds is what everybody's like. I keep hearing everybody talking. Turn 3 seeds, you can do it. Goku Oob turn 3, and it's like, well, if my opponent went turn 2
Unison
Zen-Oh, and then has God Sealing in their hand, you lose. The game is over. You lost.
Or you desperate measures. You focus breakthrough. You super Kamehameha. You do anything that
they're just like, oh, turn 3 Seeds of the Future, like 0 mana. Force of will.
Like, I actually think like the only way for that deck to actually work is that you do Turn the Tide and save your Awakening. That's the only way.
That's it.
Yeah, and you have to save your Awakening. If you don't awaken after it, you're gonna probably still lose.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're ramping to turning the tide, knowing that you're going to discard your hand anyway. Gogeta 7 would be another cool way to do it, but the fact of the matter is you can't fit the Goku
Sorry,
Black
man.
stuff and the Gogeta 7.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have two decks. You have blue green and you're ramping to Violent Predator, or you have mono blue, maybe utilizing Majin Defender, West Supreme Kai, and then Sensu Bean, Zamasu just trying to get there early.
Well, even turn three turning the tide is not good. Like you want to turning the tide when you were going to win the game. Like,
So to reiterate, what we learned today with blue cards is everyone said this card was bad according to Matt, right? And then it ended up being good, right? So what we're talking about now is that this card apparently is not good, but you guys will soon realize this card is good. The Trunks is that good.
it's gonna be a centerpiece of Series 10 format. Like there's no way it can't be. Like it's just
It's force of will.
Until
It
we
is the
see
bedrock of
yellow.
every good blue deck in
until we
non-rotating
see
format
yellow.
in other games.
Right. Yellow does the same thing, but it also taps 2 energy.
No, don't even joke
No,
about that.
no,
I'm waiting for it to be a bloodlust that taps 2 energy.
Yellow's
And
gonna be
draw your card.
yellow's gonna be battering laser that says if you have 3 or more cards in rest mode, switch all of your opponent's energy to rest mode.
No, I got it. It's free. It's cold bloodlust, and it ignores deflect.
Oh, openly says like ignore deflect.
And if you have a unison, you can play it for free. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's what I'm saying. It's gonna be like that. It's
Yeah.
gonna be ignoring deflect.
And replenish 3 counters on your unison.
Yeah.
So everybody just
So, closing thoughts. 60 seconds apiece. We're going to start with Frisco. So we know Green is coming out this week. We have a starter deck. We have some Goku leader. We have a Bardock Unison. What do you want from Green? 30 seconds. Frisco, go.
I want green to be playable, and I'm done.
Define playable.
I want
And
it to
remotely
be
interesting.
I
And
want it
remotely
to-
interesting.
I want it to be playable and remotely interesting. I want it to be at least a focal point in the meta where people actually have to think about it.
Right. Because Green, with the exception of Green Broly set 6 briefly, Green has never been more than a support color and usually an average
Exactly.
support color at best.
It's a support color that makes you worse.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially.
Mr. Jose Mercado, what is
Yes.
your green dream? What are you green with envy for?
My green dream, when I was a kid in DBS, I wanted hand destruction to be relevant again.
You got that wish.
Yeah, and I hated it because it was boring with Piccolo, unfortunately. But I want Green to have options without having to shoot themselves in the foot. Right now, they have only one single strategy. It's like, oh, let me blow up your 1 cost while I have to blow up 2 guys on my board. Sick, you know? It's like it's so neg for you, right? So like I want them to be able to draw good or average, draw like blue does at least, not like yellow. Yellow's broken. But I want Green to have choices. It's like not only be a destroy battle cards if they don't have barrier. I want them to have deflect finally, so they can have like threats that can stick, and choices, man. That's what I mean. Like deflect threats. Be a more cost-effective color. Right now, it's the least cost-effective color. Successor help with that, but then again, it's green yellow, so it's because it's yellow. So yeah, that's my wish. I want options. I want green to be utility. Yes, value. I want value in green. Yeah,
I like it. Mr. Coombs.
I want Green to have more threats that can resolve. So I want them to print more green cards with deflect. I know that sounds terrible, but
I know.
Green doesn't like rebrand Avatar of Affection is a 5-drop that can be countered. Zerlon is a 5-drop that can be countered. The only green 5-drop with deflect is the SS4 that only works with green wish leaders. So Green has no reliable reliable finishers. Like
KO Ken, bruh.
Well,
KO
guy-
Ken.
mono
He's
green.
red. He's red green, bro.
Yeah, like
My role in this podcast is literally just to echo what Matt's saying.
Yeah,
because
so
I
I just-
want something that works. I can follow
exactly.
this.
Yes.
I want something that can follow this.
What I love about green right now and what I want to continue is I just love that it's like the purest. It's like the purest form of true mid-range 2-for-1s is my favorite part about green, and I just want that to continue to be the case. I just want all the battle cards to just be like high value 2-for-1s, like as opposed to I have to neg myself to play this card. Like I hate it. Like it's just
Let me
Yeah,
sacrifice.
yeah.
Let me
The
sacrifice
deflect
my
threat is
three
a big
creatures.
deal. Give me a deflect threat. Give me like a high utility like counter spell or something. Okay, that's what I want.
I
That's
like
fair. That's fair.
Is that all you want, Pat?
I mean, free sell. No, I'm
You
just,
have
I'm
that
just
already.
kidding. I'm just kidding.
I mean,
No,
I
no,
don't
no,
think.
he's dead.
Bro,
He's dead, guys. He's dead.
bro, didn't you
Yeah,
hear
I'm
about
back, bro.
Didn't you hear about Sandy Cell combo? It's actually kind of cool.
No, I
So
didn't.
so there's a 2-cost Dr. Giro that is when you play him you burst 3 and then you take a android in your drop and you put it in your hand. So he's going Cell Leader and he's going Giro super combo to put the Cell 3 drop.
Oh, you're
into
talking
the
about
drop.
it's not Dr. Giro.
it's me.
Dr.
Mew.
Mew.
Dr. Mew.
Dr. Mew. Yeah, Dr. Mew is a card that actually
Yeah, so you're using Dr. Giro plus that 2 drop, Giro plus Mew, double docks, and
Yeah.
getting Cell 3 in Surge Cell.
Yeah, no matter what. Yeah, no matter
Yeah.
what. Yeah, that's actually pretty dope, honestly.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool combo. Previously, the best I had found for it was like you use Mew to burst to guarantee put Bad Omen in your energy. Like
Mhm.
that was the previous combo that I remember using it for. That's a really underrated card, by the way. Like I think as time goes on, that card's going to be something that might be, it have interesting combo applications. And it is a rare from an out of print set, so.
Yep.
What I'm saying is get it if you don't have it.
Feel that. I have 2 requests for green. One is I want green to not lose to go wide strategies. Much like black, green just doesn't have
Mhm.
flying
Oh, yeah.
Nimbus or exploiting weakness, and
Sure.
it
Can we
gets
just get a sweeper?
Rebrand is a sweeper, but it doesn't have deflect.
And it's not a 3-cost.
I just
My
want
God.
a sweeper on the level
You nerds.
of the boy Goku.
You can play negative dark Dragon Balls, bro.
Bro, like seriously, why was this not a green card? Why was this not a green card? This is literally
Agreed.
green used to have the original version of this
Because
effect.
I gotta play it in Surge Coup, bro. Surge Coup is the draft. Surge Coup is the draft leader.
Pat, can I tell you that I actually just today I was thinking about that Goku you just showed, and I was comparing it to set 1 6-cost Champa, and realizing that card has a better effect, and
Than
it's
6-cost
3-cost
Champa?
less. Yeah.
I was gonna say like Kale was
But-
the original sweeper. Like it was
Yeah.
Champa and Kale.
No, dude.
Yeah.
We are full of it. We're lying. We got a deflect threat. It's only a 6 cost. It's Super 17, bro.
It's a 6 cost. It cost me 6.
And you have to do like
Yeah,
a
we're great.
7 cards to bring him into play. And Sparking 10.
Yep.
On top of everything.
All right. finish your
And then
thoughts,
my
Matt.
my last request for green is to give me a Frieza Army Holding Pod deck. It's my favorite card since Clash of Fates, and all I want to do is take advantage of that card, Something Fierce. So
Yeah, baby.
Well, all I want to
until
do.
then, I'll keep on playing Kakati Pod. I ain't scared.
Okay. Well, all I want to do is see you turn into a giant woman. Okay.
Not bad.
The power of love.
Can I add one more thing? One single
In
thing.
30 seconds. Yes.
I'll give it in 10. I would like to be able to play Hope of the Nearers. Son Goku.
Hope Universe 7 Son Goku. Yeah.
I'll take that.
I want to play
I
that
like
card.
as well.
Yeah. Okay. We'll end this with Frisco's Broken Strategy. In case you're not familiar with it, Strength of Legends, King Vegeta 6, which you can also play like turn 2 in a ramp deck. That might be stupid. But yeah, turn off-
God sealing trunks, bro.
K.
Do we have to show it one more time? Where is it? Whatever,
No, we're done.
Yeah, I
We're
was
done.
gonna get the. Yep, I was gonna get the force well up, but we're done here.
All right. Okay. Tune in next Sunday for the next episode of Corona Cast. We'll be Mean Green Dragon Ball Super card game playing machines. I'm sure we'll put another 20 hours in, and you will get the outcomes. If you want to know more, there is the 3xG YouTube channel that you're probably watching this on. There is the 3xG Patreon, which we constantly publish free and near free content for all y'all. We also do crazy sick dances, and you can be a part of it. Okay, thanks.
Bye.
Bye.